about ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We'd love to have you. Shout out to BUMBLEFOOT for that really awesome intro music. We appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, at Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress, and you can find my shop, War Woman Goods. It's on Etsy, and a little bit is on my website as well. We have a fantastic guest here tonight. I have Charlie Raymond with me backstage. I'm about to bring him up in just a minute. Don't forget that right after the show, After Hours has a great program set up for you guys. And so let's get to our guest right now. With no further ado, Charlie Raymond is the founder of the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization and a Kentucky BFRO investigator. He's been researching Bigfoots in Kentucky for over 3 decades and has interviewed over 400 credible eyewitnesses. As a passionate, diehard, boots-on-the-ground researcher, he leads numerous private and public expeditions, acquiring a wealth of knowledge and evidence in the process. Charlie has appeared on the Animal Planet, the History Channel, and the BBC. He speaks at libraries and Bigfoot conferences throughout the states. His book, Bluegrass Bigfoot, Encounters with the Kentucky Wildman, is available on Amazon and for signings at events and conferences. And I'm going to tell y'all, I actually met Charlie at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. And so I'm going to bring Mr. Charlie Raymond up and welcome him to SOR tonight. Hey, Charlie.
Hi.
Hey, man, thank you so much for being here tonight.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, man. I've been doing Bigfoot field research for several years now in Georgia. But I've heard so much about the KBRO and the Kentucky Bigfoots. Now, Kentucky is known for several things. Okay, we got the bourbon, we've got the Kentucky Derby, and we've got the Kentucky Wildman. Okay, yeah. The Bigfoots there. And I know you have a lot of stories about that, so I cannot wait to hear some of those tonight.
Well, I love talking about them. And I tell people I get to live vicariously through these witnesses. And that's what initially got me hooked, is when I started interviewing witnesses and they would speak for hours on the phone sometimes. And they would thank me for listening because nobody else would believe them. And that got me hooked initially and really made me a believer. Interviewing law enforcement, park rangers, very credible people that could really lose their jobs or be ridiculed would come forward. Which, as you know, it's more accepted now than before.
Than back in the 90s when you started, right?
Yeah, back then it was hard to get people to come forward. They wanted to remain anonymous. Mm-hmm. Now, as you know, everybody's on these podcasts talking about it. And it's kind of therapy for them. They get it off their chest.
That's right. Yeah. I didn't go public at all with my Bigfoot field research for at least 10 years. A lot of people had no idea that I did it because it almost had a stigma to it. Let's just put it that way. Oh, yeah. So I absolutely understand that. And, what I find interesting is I have a lot of law enforcement on my teams. Okay. Law enforcement, firefighters, military, Department of Defense kind of people, people that are, a lot of military background. Why do you think that is?
I think, like I said, it's more accepted now.
Yeah.
So you do have law enforcement that have had experiences and taken reports. So they know, and maybe before they weren't allowed to talk about it, but now it's okay to talk about it. So you do get a lot of military, like I said, what else? Park rangers now will come forward and share stories, which is refreshing. So hopefully one day we'll prove their existence, I hope without killing one. It's kind of a controversy there, but I do want to protect their land, because people ask me, why do you need to protect them? Right? They're doing great on their own. We need to protect their habitat.
Yeah.
So if we could prove their existence and then maybe protect the forests, then maybe they can keep reproducing. And I tell everybody this when I speak, and there's sometimes kids in the audience, I say, there's only one Santa Claus, but there are lots of Bigfoots.
Yeah, that's true. But some people don't understand that. A lot of people, when they think of Bigfoot, they think of Patty, and they think that's the only one. And I can say from experience, there's a lot more than just Patty out there.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's no right or wrong way to say multiple Bigfoots.
I say Bigfoots.
I say Bigfoots too.
But
it kills me when people say Bigfoot. And I know it's accepted as well, but it sounds like they're saying one Bigfoot.
It does. You're right. I say, I actually got a degree in English, so I can say Bigfoots if I want. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I don't know. That's just the way that everybody on my team's always said it. So I just found that acceptable. But yeah. Well, they actually go back to the beginning of history almost, sightings of Bigfoot. And even in Kentucky, I was reading that in the 1700s, there's some land. I believe the Fraser family must have lived on it. And they had encounters with hairy men. So are you familiar with that?
I'm very familiar.
You are? Well, I figured you would be.
And it's funny you brought that up because Philip Spencer, the late, great Philip Spencer, he was a well-known researcher in Anderson County, Kentucky. And we became friends over the years, and he's given me a lot of his reports. And, until you investigate them yourself and speak to the witness yourself, you don't know, is it bogus? Is it, somebody just writing a book or a website and they're just filling it with potential witnesses. So until you yourself interview them, you don't know. But I will tell you this. I've been out there. I've had my own experiences out there. I've interviewed other witnesses who've seen Bigfoots in the Fraser land in Kentucky. So his research was spot on. I got to know him. He's an honest guy, very intelligent. And unfortunately, he's passed away now. But I encourage people to watch his documentary. It was called The Wildman of Kentucky. Now it's called Kentucky Bigfoot. And I believe it's on Amazon.
All right. We're going to look that up.
Yeah. Kentucky Bigfoot. They renamed it. So whoever took it over renamed it. But that was The Wildman of Kentucky by Philip Spencer. Now, you got to get past the cheesy music. You got to get past the lame graphics. Because, he made this, 20 years ago or so. But the content is still true today. The Bigfoot behaviors he talks about, the research strategies, the witnesses are legit. I've interviewed some of those witnesses recently, the last couple of years. Oh, yeah. So it's an excellent documentary. It's called Kentucky Bigfoot. It's free to watch. So I encourage you to watch that.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm definitely going to watch it this week. My son actually starts school tomorrow, so I might have a couple of hours to myself in the morning, maybe for the first time. Yeah, that's awesome. So the 1700s, what was this family experiencing on that land out there? It was written in a book, right?
Yeah, it was written in the book, and I talk about it a lot. It's approximately 6,000 acres, and they purchased the property to farm and harvest the land. And they had multiple encounters with this hairy beast, and probably more than one. And they left abruptly. They left the potential to make a lot of money and establish a way of life, and they took off, leaving the land. Now, over time, many, many witnesses have come forward, credible witnesses. Yeah. And I can share some of the stories. One of the most famous ones is by Lynn Hutton. He's a local resident, and he was bow hunting with this young boy, his son, and they had come out of a cedar thicket. And when they came out of the cedar thicket, on the opposite side of this little clearing, a Bigfoot came out of that side, and they stood face to face.
Wow.
And he said it was as shocked as we were. I mean, we just stared at each other. My boy wanted to see it, but I kept taking my arm and pushing my boy behind me. At the same time, I was reaching for my pistol in my coat.
Oh, yeah.
The entire time, the Bigfoot never broke eye contact and walked backwards into the tree line.
Wow.
Never losing eye contact. The Bigfoot just walked backwards back into the trees.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about that story, he tells it, it's on many documentaries. You can listen to them on my YouTube channel as well. He never wavers from the details in that story. It's consistent throughout the years. He said it looked a little human-like in the face. And what I mean by that, it had a wide hooded nose, unlike a gorilla. Every report I've taken in Kentucky of a close encounter, they talk about a wide hooded nose.
Wow.
Large, dark eyes. You don't see the whites. They're usually completely black. The heavy brow, the sagittal crest, the hair, the thin lips, typical Bigfoot descriptions. But what a lot of witnesses describe is this human-like characteristic of the face. Most of those, they're just curious that I've documented. The Bigfoot usually leaves, and the person, of course, leaves. There's never a violent encounter. Now, there's some, but most of them that I've documented, the Bigfoot wants to be left alone, and it leaves, and the human leaves.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that tonight. I'm curious about the description of, what size are they? What is the typical size of the Bigfoots in Kentucky? And the coloring, and just if they're broad or more lanky. I'm down here in Georgia, and we have something that would be considered kind of skunk ape-like looking. They're not huge Bigfoots, and so I was just curious, what do they look like up there, other than you described the face?
We have multiple different characteristics. One would be reddish brown is the predominant color. But we do have black. We do have white ones. We have gray
White
ones.
ones too. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple of white ones here.
We have a white one in Georgia as well. It's been spotted. We do. Yeah.
That's bummer to be white, right? I mean,
you stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah,
there's no camo there.
It makes it much harder for sure.
Unless it's snowing, which we hardly ever get.
Yeah, that's true. You would think that. But yeah, you get the massive ones. We have some here close to 10 feet. I mean,
wow.
Massive. And then we have other ones that are lanky and thin as well. So we have a variety, to be honest.
Wow.
But I always say this to people. Witness testimony is crucial with Bigfoot research, because a witness does multiple things. A witness describes their physical characteristics. Otherwise, we don't have many pictures or videos. There's not a whole lot out there. So the witness tells us what they look like. The witness tells us the location or where to look for tracks and record vocals. The witness tells us some things like what they eat. I've got reports in Kentucky of them coming up on a highway, and they slow down, and this large creature stands up and throws a deer over its shoulder and walks off the deer. I've got one of a lady. She looks out in her front yard, and this Bigfoot has an armful of apples, picking apples from her tree.
Wow.
So we know they're omnivores.
Oh, yeah.
So we learn a lot from witnesses.
Yeah. Man, I mean, and well, you also work with BFRO, right? And BFRO has a great website with a lot of the reportings. And I believe Kentucky, when I looked earlier today, there were only about 115 reports. Now, I have never made a report with BFRO about any sightings, or even MUFON about UFO sightings. I've seen UFOs, so just you got to include all of those reports that people never report, or the sightings that people never report. Right. There have to be probably way more than that, I would assume. Would you assume that same thing?
Exactly. Okay. There's a lot more because there's a couple reasons. A lot of people will report it, but they don't want to go public with their report. So we have a lot of that. I have a lot of that. We also have in the BFRO, on the back end where the reports come in for researchers, there's a ton of reports sitting there that sometimes we don't have time, because it takes a lot of time to call a witness, to type things up, to post it. it just takes time, and there's too many there to post.
Yeah.
Also, my website, I have over 400 reports in over 3 decades. And in the beginning, my website would come up number 1 on Google, and I would get most of the reports. And that's how I established that database. So if you add all my reports, the BFRO, there's easily over 500 documented reports.
Wow. Oh my goodness. You have a great website, by the way. I mean, it covers all the bases. I was very impressed with it. Lots of stories, and in conjunction with your Facebook page. I was surprised at all the information you have on your Facebook as well. So I do have this up here. Everyone who's watching today and tonight, tomorrow, whenever you guys watch this, KentuckyBigfoot.com. Okay, you guys go there. If you're curious about Kentucky Bigfoots, and if you have a report, something to report to the website, I know Charlie would appreciate it. So y'all go to the website. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, okay. So speaking of BFRO, and I'm not sure if you do expeditions with BFRO or if you do it independently with Kentucky Bigfoot, KBRO. You had an expedition last night.
Yeah.
How did that go?
That was a little, I like to say, a hunt.
Okay, a hunt. A hunt.
We don't want to kill one. We just we're out hunting them to find one or communicate with one. And they wanted me to come down there, give a presentation. People got some pizza, and then we got to go out in the woods, and I got to show them how we do research. And a lot of the novice out there, they don't understand. We don't go out with flashlights and camo and guns. If you go out like that, they're going to take off. They're highly intelligent creatures, as we know. They know what we do when we wear camo and we carry guns, and if you shine a flashlight around, they're not going to jump out and say, "Here I am."
Right.
The best way that I've found to have an interaction is to look non-threatening. Just be yourself. Laugh, talk, cook food, play music. Just be a happy-go-lucky hiker or camper. Go in their area. A lot of times they'll come to you. You don't have to go running around everywhere looking for them.
That's right.
If you're cooking food and you're talking and you're laughing, they want to see what's going on in their living room, where their TV, where their entertainment. So just go out there and act natural. And then when things start to happen, do subtle interactions, subtle little taps or tree knocks, a whistle, maybe a couple whoops, just a little subtle things, and you might get replies back. Don't start hollering and banging the crap out of a tree. You do too much, it's going to scare them off. Now, later in the evening, if you're doing research and nothing's happening, then go ahead and hit the tree a couple times hard. Maybe do a couple howls or broadcast a howl. But typically, you start subtle. And typically, less is better.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I have learned now, after all these years I've been going out in the woods, staying back at base camp. Our teams disperse. Our big team disperses into little teams, and we have different areas that we cover, and we go on our trips to research. And I find that we get just as much, if not more, activity at base camp just sitting there, than the people do when they're dispersed out into the field. Now, that brings up another question that I have for you tonight. My team gets a lot of other stuff going on out there other than just Bigfoot. Do you experience orbs and UFOs and all this other paranormal X factor stuff that goes on out in the woods?
We do. And I do know, I do have credible people. Again, people I've known a long time that are intelligent, honest, and they would see a large ball of light grow and shrink down. Yeah. In areas that we've had Bigfoot reports and sightings. We've had other weird things happen with equipment. I'm trying to think of what else. Things you can't explain. However, I have to be honest with you. There's something in science and statistics called correlation and causation. And when you study statistics, the difference is correlation is when one event happens, maybe in the same area, another event happens.
Mm-hmm.
Causation means one event could cause the other event.
Yeah.
So you really have to see the Bigfoot turning to an orb or the orb turning to a Bigfoot. You really got to connect those two to say it's causation, or the UFO to send the Bigfoot down. You really have to see that.
Yeah.
The areas that I have experience with, we do get all that, but we can't really say it's Bigfoot related, to be honest.
Right. I understand completely, because I've never seen an ET and a Bigfoot standing beside each other. Okay.
Yeah.
But I have experienced UFOs while I'm out in the field researching Bigfoot. Okay. You know, in orbs, but I've never seen an orb turn into anything. It's just an orb by itself. And it may have nothing to do with the other, like you're saying. We don't know, because we've never seen an orb turn into a Bigfoot or a ET or whatever we've got. We've got weird stuff out in the woods where we go research. So that's a great point.
And, you know, these areas where the Bigfoots are. So I'll give you an example. There's a lot of graveyards in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
We find Bigfoots near those sometimes. But the other thing that's near the graveyards, are the deer, because there's grass there.
Yeah.
So the Bigfoot are hunting the deer. So you do get orbs sometimes by graveyards, but is that a Bigfoot or is that a spirit? You know, is it a person or something like that? So you just don't know when these orbs show up. It's hard to explain them.
Mm-hmm.
I've had stuff happen. I'll give you an example. We were in the Fraser land, and we're doing an expedition there, and we heard some whoops to my right. Oh my gosh, did you hear those whoops? Yeah, we heard them. There's like 3 or 4 of us. So I'm like, let me get my thermal out. Let's therm down there and see if we can see what made the whoops. My thermal's completely dead.
Of
All
course.
of our audio died.
Yeah.
Like every single one of us, our audio is dead. And we just started the night investigation. So it's really weird that all of our equipment failed when I heard the whoops.
Yeah.
I cannot say it's related though. I just report what happened. So you do get strange things like that sometimes.
Oh yeah, we experience that all the time. Actually, our equipment will malfunction regularly. Okay, and so you always got to take extra batteries, and you got to put them in some kind of metal case so they don't drain. Yeah, I totally understand that. Now, you guys are actually up in Kentucky. I've heard of several Dogman sightings. Are you familiar with Dogman? Do you ever get Dogman reports?
Yes, I've taken a few from credible witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one of them that I took years ago. A gentleman contacted me because he was living with his fiance in her parents' house, and the parents had like 40 cats. Mm-hmm. And within a week or so, every cat disappeared.
Oh my gosh,
those are really odd.
That's a delicacy for those things, apparently.
Yeah. So one night they're in the living room and they hear a cat scream, and they hear a thud on the back of the house.
Oh gosh.
Like the cat hit the back of the house is what it sounded like.
That's terrible.
So he gets up, he opens the back door with a flashlight, and he's shining it, and he said whenever he hit the house and he would shine the flashlight, these large eyes would appear above the stump and then go back down. Ooh. And when I got there, I thought the stump was like low to the ground. The stump was up here to me.
Wow, and you're pretty tall.
Yeah. So I'm 5'11", so it was poking his head up above this large eyes every time he hit the house. So we don't know where that was, but that's just part of the story. On another occasion, his wife, who was like 18, she was in high school, she had to get up at like 5:30 in the morning, walk to the bus stop. Mm-hmm. And it was dark out.
Oh my gosh.
And she had to go down the long gravel dirt driveway. And as she's walking, there's a security light behind her, so she could kind of see a little bit down the driveway. Mm-hmm. she heard movement to the right. This creature came up onto the drive, only about, say, 50 yards from her,
Yeah.
covered in hair. The legs were bent backwards,
Oh, wow.
pointed ears, muzzle.
Yeah.
And when she gasped, she went, it turned and looked at her and snarled.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, she was frozen. So then the creature sprang off the driveway, ran off from the woods. And finally, when she couldn't hear it again, she just made a run and she got to the bus stop. And when she got to school, she told her boyfriend, her fiance now, you won't believe what I just saw. And she drew a picture of it. And I've got that picture, that sketch.
Oh, wow. Do you?
I actually got the recording, this whole story. I've got it recorded to the audio.
Oh, gosh,
I
that's
had
terrifying.
I had it on my website, but she was being made fun of at school, so they asked me to take it down, so I did. But what's interesting about this, though, I will tell you this. Usually with the Bigfoot, you don't see ears, okay? She said there was ears, and she drew ears, but they weren't on top. They were kind of down here more.
Yeah.
The muzzle wasn't that big in her sketch. The muzzle was almost like prognathism, like a chimp has, just a little bit of an extension, not long like I had thought. It did have some kind of claws, a long hand and long arms, kind of muscular and hairy. The legs didn't look bent backwards in her sketch.
Okay.
So, but she described them as being bent backwards. So it was kind of odd.
Yeah.
So it could have been a Dogman or it could have been a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Well, there are Bigfoots that have kind of a half muzzle kind of. A lot of them, some of them look like that. I just realized something. You are, not I say you, but your home state is home to the Land Between the Lakes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay. I've done several shows on the LBL because, okay, so I actually do remote viewing, and my Bigfoot field research team, we're all trained in it. And I've remote viewed that area, and because of the Dogman up there. And what I saw was it looked kind of like a hyena. Okay, it was like a hyena Dogman. It was really odd, but that's what some of the reports have been from that area, from what I understand. So, are you familiar with that whole area?
Yeah, we've been there. We've done expeditions there.
Okay.
Private research there. We recorded some great tree knocks.
Yeah.
And howls like Bigfoots do. I've got that recorded. It's on my YouTube channel, by the way. The Beast of LBL. There's a special I've done. If you listen through there, my friend, Brent and I were there, and we got some great howls and then tree knocks with the howls, which is a little bit more Bigfoot behavior.
Yeah.
But the Beast of LBL, there's a historic encounter there where a family was killed by multiple. There's like 2 Dogmen actually that killed this family.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Can I just tell you something really fast? Is that I remote viewed that, and I saw 2 Dogmen murder a family. Okay. And I said 2, and everybody was like, no, there's 1. I said, no, there were 2.
Yeah, there were 2.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They were shooting at them.
Got dizzy.
And,
okay.
You could read about it online. Now there's a lot of controversy with that.
There's a lot.
Right, because there's no medical records.
Yeah.
There's I don't know if they wanted to hide the incident or if somebody
absolutely
or wrote it for a book, to be honest.
Okay.
So we don't know how much of that's true or not. I've taken Bigfoot reports there.
Yeah.
And again, I got another one. The witness is talking about it. There was with his family, daytime, fishing at LBL, and they anchored the boat in a remote area. They went up on shore to cook hot dogs in a little grill. And as they're sitting there, they heard somebody walking up on the ridge, but there's no trails there.
Okay.
And Mike Smith is his name. He told his wife, he goes, baby, keep looking up there because I hear somebody walking up there, but there shouldn't be anybody up there. Just as they unhook the boat to leave, they hear a loud knock, and their eyes got big because they know Bigfoot's knock.
Yeah.
So Mike grabbed a stick and he hit the tree, and right after he hit the tree, another knock comes down the shoreline.
Wow.
And they get excited, but the family wanted to go then. They're like, let's go. So they get in the boat, but Mike wants to see it. So he he is idling along the shore, and sure enough, in the sunlight, in an opening, he sees a reddish brown creature. That's, typical Bigfoot behavior. I mean, description and behavior, because then it just ran. But it said it was quick. He said, there's no way a person could take a camera and get a picture or video of these things. They're so fast. By the time you even grab your phone or whatever, it's gone.
Wow.
So, but he did say it was reddish brown, massive. We actually did a reenactment in my little video.
Yeah.
We sent Brent up there, and Brent's like 6'4", and he went where the Bigfoot was, and the Bigfoot that Mike saw was much larger than Brent.
Oh, wow.
So we did a little investigation of his sighting. And this guy, he's an athletic director of a high school, a teacher. So here he is going public. We know his students would make fun of him. His peers. Oh, you saw a Bigfoot? Yeah, right. So he's not afraid to be videotaped, sharing the story. And that was
good.
At LBL.
Yeah. I have a question. Like, I'm kind of blown away by this information about the 2 dogmen, because that was in my data. I clearly saw 2 dogmen there attacking that family. How is it from an eyewitness report, or where do you get that information from? I'm just curious for my own personal reason.
I've heard it on multiple occasions. It's all over the internet. So the reason I actually investigated it further, I was going to be on a TV show talking about it. So I did a lot of extra research on the entire encounter. But I've heard law enforcement come up to me at a conference, actually, and just out of the blue, they bring up that story, and they no pun intended, they blew holes in it. They're like, this isn't true here. This isn't true here. And I don't know if they're covering it up, or they're just saying, they're being honest and saying, oh, that's not true.
Okay.
What happened. So I don't know what to believe.
Yeah. So you got to go with your gut, kind of, I guess, and make your own decision as to what's true and what's not. Yeah. Well, it's like you said, you know it's true when you have a witness telling you about it, and you can just feel the energy, and you can feel the, just them needing to get that off their chest. That's a big part of this research, because like you said, there's not a whole lot of pictures, there's not a whole lot of hard evidence, but there's a lot of eyewitness accounts. And we get that as well.
I'll tell you, one thing about eyewitnesses I've learned from my background's in psychology, so I studied a lot of sociology classes and so forth. One thing a witness will do, just like any person telling a story, you're trying to sell your story to your audience. And you can imagine something as remarkable as seeing a Bigfoot. You're going to really want to sell your story to your audience, if it's a big crowd or one person. So what tends to happen, it's human nature, people tend to exaggerate things. The fish was this big, and especially men.
Always way bigger.
Men like to exaggerate the size of things too,
Right.
I say that sometimes.
We know how that goes.
Yeah, when there's no kids in the room, I say that. But what the point of that is, it doesn't mean they're lying. Just because they're exaggerating the story, the size of it, or you really got to get to the facts. So I will ask just open-ended questions. I won't lead the witness. What did you see? If you didn't see something, just tell me. Just say you didn't see it. And I love it when they say, "Oh no, I didn't get a good look at its eyes. I didn't get a good look at it turned and I couldn't see." And I love it when they're honest and say, "No, I didn't see that," or "I didn't." I love that part of it.
Yeah. That's one thing about me doing the field research for so many years. I've never seen a Bigfoot face to face before. So I've never seen one up close. And I'm very, very open about that. I'm like, some people, you'll be boots on the ground researching these things and never actually see one up close.
So what would you do if you came face to face? What would you do?
Oh, I mean, I would still be shocked. I'm sure I'd still be shocked. I wouldn't run, I'd actually be really excited about it. But, everybody reacts in a different way. I feel like I've been inoculated, I guess you can call it. My whole team, we have been inoculated. We've had so much high strangeness out in the field, and it ranges from seeing ETs to having a portal open right in front of our team and us sending people inside of it and recording it. Okay, so when I say we've experienced some weird stuff, we have, and I've had Bigfoots all around me, but I've never seen them with my eyes, like right up close. Now I've seen them from a distance and shadowy figures running past and things like that. But yeah, it's
Yeah, I've been close many, many times,
mhm.
and I'll be honest with you, I'm a big chicken.
Yeah.
And, you're miles back there, and you're alone. It's dark, or and I don't carry a gun either. And they're coming close. I'm knocking on trees. They're knocking back, and I can tell they're coming closer and closer. And then you start getting the little whistles and whoops and stuff, and
Oh yeah.
then they start pushing trees over, and they want you to leave.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
when
you
it's
leave.
time to go.
I leave every time.
Yeah, you know what? I've hit what I call an energetic brick wall before, more than once, where I just can't. I know not to go any farther. Okay, it's like I know there's something here. There's something that doesn't want me to take another step, and so you take heed to stuff like that, and if you don't, you will get screamed at. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, now when you go out, do you have a team that you take out there with you? Do you have like a team of the KBRO, or how does that work?
Yeah. I mean, we have multiple members, and it depends on who's working, who's off,
Yeah.
who has free time. So, it depends. We try to pair up and go at least 2 people on an investigation. If we do a expedition with lots of people, we need multiple team leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But never go by yourself to a witness's home. And I'll give you an example. I've done this now. Scared the daylights out of me. There's a place in Kentucky called Bardstown, Kentucky, and I think it's on A&E. They did a special about these mysterious deaths in this town. A sheriff officer was ambushed and killed. A lady went missing. I think her name's Crystal Rogers. The father was mysteriously gunned down when he was hunting with his grandson. A mother and daughter were killed in their home for no motive. I mean, it goes on, and it's on A&E. So this Bardstown has had this black cloud over its head for a while. I get a Bigfoot report from there. And stupid me, I go by myself. And what happened was I get out there to this house, and it's actually a trailer. And there's no trespassing signs everywhere. There's even no trespassing signs in his window.
Yeah, it's like we don't call 911, right?
Right. They're like, who puts no trespassing signs in your window of your house? It's
people that are hyper vigilant.
So I walk
mean
up
business.
There, and this young guy comes out, and he wants me to come in the house, which is risky. I go in the house, I meet his wife, and I don't want to stereotype, but I think there might have been some drugs going on.
Okay.
But I can't say for sure, but my gut was maybe. But she was in her bedroom.
You got the vibe.
Yeah, she happened to be in her bedroom folding clothes and looked out the window in the backyard, and she saw a Bigfoot. So I go, okay, well, let's do this. How about your husband and I walk out back there? You tell us where to stop, and then take a picture of us where the Bigfoot was.
Okay.
So we do that. While we're out there, though, this hunter, full camo rifle, comes out of the woods, and this young kid, I say, starts cursing at him. And I'm going, oh my gosh, you're going to get shot. Like just some nerve. What are you doing on my property? Blah, 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 blah. And I back up because I know we're going to get shot now, right?
Oh, gosh.
Thank goodness the hunter backed down. He said, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I could hunt on you. And I parked over here. Going, no, I want you to park down there. And I'm like,
what did I do? Why am I here right now?
Go. I need to leave. I told the guy, I'm going to go. We're going to.
Yeah.
So the funny part about it all, he kept calling me afterwards. Are you going to come do an expedition here? Are you going to post my report online? And I didn't want to because I think there might have been drugs involved.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to post it.
Could have been.
Could have been. I don't know.
Could have been. Yeah.
Could have
Now,
been.
how does that work when you're taking reports? And I mean, maybe you didn't feel like it was this credible. I mean, do you still take the report anyways? And do you make a note?
I make a mental note because
Okay.
I will tell you where this is. I've got credible reports in this area.
Okay.
That's the only reason I went, because I know of all the reports in this area. However, if there's drugs involved
Mhm.
or alcohol, I don't, I just can't, I can't share it. They might have seen one. A lot of people drink and can see a legit Bigfoot. I mean, that could happen. But so back to the story, I didn't post his report, but he kept bugging me, right? So finally I said, well, listen, if I post this report, you're going to have everybody and their brother in the woods behind your home looking for this thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
said, oh,
TV
no.
crews.
Yeah, he said, definitely don't post it. Don't post it. He's like,
because you knew that he had that hunter, that there's no trespassing,
Yeah, he didn't want people on his property. So
it was a good deterrent.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you've taken over 400 reports, Charlie. That's a lot of reports. And, but that's over what, 30 years?
Yeah.
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 I mean, that is a gigantic amount of reports right there.
There's so many that there's more. I mean, it's well over 400 because there's a lot that are not posted there. If I drive, it's funny. If I drive anywhere in Kentucky, I know where the reports are. Like, oh, a guy saw one over here, or oh, this next town here, we interviewed a witness here. Or, like, it gets me excited everywhere I drive because I know where all the sightings were. And what gets me more excited, I've got spots in Kentucky with just clusters of eyewitness reports with my own interactions. I know they're there. Yeah. And I tell people this all the time. I wish we had the money and manpower to get thermal drones and circle the area and close in on them and not to kill them, not to capture them. I don't want them in a cage. I don't want them in a zoo. Yeah. But I do want to prove them to the academic world that, they exist and we need to protect these forests where they live. Yeah.
Wow.
And, so, and you could tell, and I already know a little bit about you, I'm more flesh and blood. I'm not into the supernatural paranormal part of this, but I'm still open-minded to all that. I just believe it's a highly intelligent hominid that over thousands of years has adapted with a high environmental IQ, the ninjas of the forest, to elude us and just stay one step further than us. They can emit infrasound. We know other large mammals emit infrasound. There's certain things they can do that are probably mind-blowing to us. Maybe they do have that sixth sense that's more developed than ours.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think it's, I'm still in that flesh and blood camp.
Yeah. Well, I'm flesh and blood too. Okay. But I've also seen things that defy logic out there. And so, I'm kind of in the Ron Moorhead camp with the quantum Bigfoot. That's where I'm at right now. So,
the one thing with Ron, I met Ron. I spoke with him in Kentucky here. Wonderful man, super nice guy.
Oh yeah.
And I love his Sierra sounds he recorded. But
for sure,
one thing I have a hard time grasping, how organic matter, living matter, can cloak and can disappear and then reappear. Now I can understand how particles can change their speed, and if it's inorganic matter, like something solid, like mass, like a table, or physical like that. But if it's a living, breathing organism, how can those molecules slow down that much to where it could disappear and reappear? And I just don't understand scientifically how a living, breathing creature could do that and not and still be alive. Like, how do you still live and slow down all your molecules in your body and then reappear somewhere?
And just poof. Yeah. There's so many different theories, and some people say, well, maybe it's just because we don't have the rods and the cones in our eyes, the right ones, to where they can just kind of disappear, but they're still there. Okay, but we just can't see them because we've got our little human eyes, that aren't as advanced as they are. I have no idea. I have no answers for any of this.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still open-minded to a lot of that stuff.
Me too. I'm open-minded to everything, and I think that's important. Being in this field is just to keep an open mind about everything and to not discount, things. Because I'm sure you've heard a lot of different stories, taken over 400 reports from people. I'm sure there's a lot of weird stuff in
Well,
there that doesn't
so
make sense.
I'll give you some examples. So, and
Okay.
I show this in my presentation. There's a video on YouTube of bull mountain goats, and
Okay.
they're on a hillside. And when you look at the video, you don't see them until somebody fires a gun, and like a dozen jump up and run, and you can't see them. It's called cryptic colorization. And over
Okay.
thousands of years, animals have adapted to even change color. Like we know the chameleon, we know the octopus.
Yeah. True.
We know a lot of animals will look like insects look like leaves. Owls will blend in with the bark of a tree. And as long as they don't move, you don't even see that animal there. As long as they don't move. And hair. I'll give you an example. I took a Bigfoot report of a white Bigfoot, and these kids were fishing on a dock in the Green River in Kentucky, and on a sycamore tree, a large sycamore, a branch broke across the river, and a Bigfoot and the branch fell into the river. The boys sprung up, ran away, but were looking through the woods, and they saw this white Bigfoot swim arm over arm, kind of human-like.
Ooh.
They said the strangest thing, though.
What's that?
It grabbed the branch and pulled itself up the embankment. And when it did and started to run, the hair was bouncing in the wind. The hair was dry.
It didn't get soggy? Wet?
No, they said the hair was blowing in the wind.
Like oh my gosh.
It wasn't, soaking wet looking. And
maybe it's made from something different than our hair.
Yeah, so that's my
Some
point.
say it's chlorophyll or something. It's got something plant-based in it, from what I've heard. Yeah.
Right. So, maybe there's properties of the hair that can refract light, can bend light.
Yeah.
Right. That's scientific. It could bend light. Yeah. We know the polar bear has clear. The hair's clear. It's not white, but the polar bear looks white. So maybe their hair's developed some properties to help them cloak, if you will.
Yeah. That is so interesting. Wow. Now you actually took that report. So you had eyewitness accounts. That is amazing. Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that, actually, with their hair not looking wet.
Right. And it could be maybe it's just oil. I don't know.
It could. Well, they do have a lot of oil globules in their hair. We have a wildlife biologist on my team, and he's taken hair samples before and examined them. I'm actually bringing him on the show in a couple of weeks. Mr. Keith McLean's coming on, and he's got samples with the hair, and it is different. It's very transparent, translucent, I guess is the word, and it's got big oil globules on it. Okay, so.
And it's got no cellular medulla, which our hair does.
Yeah, it is different.
That's where a lot of this that DNA is, and that's why it's hard to get DNA, because they don't have that cellular medulla.
Okay.
So you really have to have the follicles, to get the DNA. So it's harder to get DNA from them. But their hair is definitely different. I will tell you another story that's kind of odd, and I don't want to go into too much of the details, but basically in Fort Knox, Kentucky, these one was a sergeant. They killed a family of 4 Bigfoot. Oh. And a little one, they had a little one too, got away. But it's a long story, but it's on my YouTube channel. You can listen to his testimony. It's kind of a deathbed. He's now passed away.
Okay.
But he had told me this story. It's like he wanted to get off his chest. He told multiple people this story the last couple of years of his life. And I've got multiple recordings of the same story, same details. But what I'm getting at is when he had shot them, and they were pretty close to these creatures, he said there was like a blue, what do you say, blue dust? He could see the blue dust pop off him when he hit him with the bullets.
Oh, wow.
And then there was like a metallic taste in his mouth. So these guys who shot him had this metallic taste in his mouth. He saw like a blue dust pop off him. It was just odd that he added that in that story. But then again, there right after that, they were taken to Ireland Army Hospital. They, had to sign non-disclosure. They were given shots. Their battle dress uniforms were taken from them.
Oh, wow.
But now the gentleman, he had terminal cancer. So he recorded this with me, and he said, "You're welcome to share this after I pass." And
Oh my gosh.
He's passed away, unfortunately. But it's a remarkable story. It's a sad story because they killed 4 of them.
Yeah.
And the little guy got away. There's a baby. The mom had a baby. And got
that's
away.
Heartbreaking.
It was very heartbreaking when I heard this. Yeah, and I tried to make him feel guilty when he was telling me the story. I'm like, "Did you have any remorse?" He said, "No, man. When that big one came at us, we just opened up on them. We didn't know what they were." Back then, he said they called them the creatures, but we just opened up on them. But when they took him away and they put him in this room, and this older man with white hair came in and made him sign non-disclosure and gave him shots, and it's almost
gave him shots.
Yeah, like shots in the arm,
for what? Like a rabies shot?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's maybe a forgetful shot. So you just kind of forget everything that just happened.
Yeah, maybe it was something weird.
Yeah, like Men in Black kind of stuff. That's weird.
It could have been because
but
my whole thing about that was it's almost like they had a protocol in place. Like this wasn't the first time they had to deal with this issue. That's the way the witness was telling me. Like, almost like they had a whole entire protocol. If this happens, if you see a Bigfoot, if you shoot a Bigfoot,
I 100% believe that. I mean, I think that our government is way more involved than they let us know. I just did a show Friday night on Bugs, the guy from Texas who claimed to have shot 2 Bigfoots. And I remote viewed that. And I actually, some metallic stuff, as he shot them, there was some metallic. So like you said, there was a metallic taste or there's something metallic. Something similar to that came up in my data with that case, just so you know. But
yes, that's interesting.
It is weird. Yeah, something's connected there with that. I'll have to look into that a little more. But
somebody has a question here. Flat Rock.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, Flat Rock. He wants to know: do you believe they're more man-like or ape-like?
More man-like.
More man-like.
And the reason I'm saying this is strictly from the eyewitnesses who've come. I'm talking within 20 feet, face to face. Daytime, and every time they say it had a human-like look to it. Although it's still massive, it still has the heavy brow, the wide lips, the squared off teeth, but the wide hooded nose. That's one of the keys. It has a nose like ours, but wide and flat. Almost every white eyewitness describes that nose. Plus, their intellect. If this was a gorilla, or an ape, we would have it in a cage by now. These things are too smart, too intelligent to be captured, obviously, and to be put in a cage. So that's why I think they're more of a relic hominid, something maybe a Denisovan. We just realized just a couple of years ago we have Neanderthal DNA and Denisovan DNA in us. So Homo sapiens bred with these other hominids, and Bigfoot maybe too. Maybe Bigfoot was in that mix and has a little bit of Homo sapiens in him.
Could have been. Now, we're at the end of the show, Charlie. This went by so fast. I'm going to have to bring you back on in the future sometime.
Yeah.
You have this amazing book right here. And is this kind of what you're talking about with that wide nose,
So this sketch is from an eyewitness that Terry Thomas, he's a researcher in an organization. He did this sketch on it, and this is very typical. The only thing with this one, a lot of the other ones, the eyes are a little bit larger and black. That's the only difference between most of the reports in this one. But the nose is wide and flat, the mouth thin, the heavy brow covered in hair. And there's a lot of them, the hair comes up to the nose, like Patty. You see the hair up here. I get a lot of that.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's so cool. That's so interesting.
But if you look at that looks more human, doesn't it?
It does. I think they all do look more human. Absolutely. There's such a wide range of, I think they're just like humans, from, being nice and being mean and having a good day and a bad day and having the abilities. Some of us are more psychic than others, and I think that's how they how they roll in the Bigfoot community. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But yeah, so Charlie, where can people find your book? It's on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Okay. All right.
And then I'm gonna have a volume 2, which hopefully I have time to work on it. But it's full of reports from Kentucky.
Okay.
I asked the eyewitnesses if I could put it in the book. In that book, there I've got a park ranger who saw one, and his report is in my book. You cannot get that report anywhere else.
Oh, cool.
So I begged him, can I put your report in my book? He said yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you are a wealth of knowledge and just a great resource for people to go to all over the world. If you want to know about Bigfoots, you had a great website, KentuckyBigfoot.com. And you have your YouTube channel. Is that Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization?
Yes.
On YouTube?
Okay. So now I'm interviewing witnesses and putting the witness testimony right on there. So you can decide. As a viewer, is this person telling the truth, or are they full of it? So you go on there, you listen to the witnesses and see what you think.
Super hands-on experience. I love that. And you're taking groups out. So can they sign up on your website if people want to get out in the woods with you?
Yeah. So I usually put it on my website or Facebook, but my private expeditions sell out. I'm not exaggerating, within a couple hours. The last one, 40 people filled up, because I take pride in this. I put people in the best spots and try to use the best techniques to have interactions. We've had multiple sightings by credible participants that seen them. I think it's 5 sightings in the last 6 expeditions. Some were in the same expedition, but amazing interactions with them. Super excited. We have that one sold out for the fall. There's another one for the BFRO. If you go to the BFRO.net, there's one for Kentucky. There's still room for that one.
All right. Well, I'm so excited that we got to talk with you tonight, Charlie. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday night with us at Spaced Out Radio. We appreciate it so much. And I hope you'll come back and join us.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, listen, have a great night. And I hope to see you again very soon. Okay.
All right. Good night.
Okay. All right. Bye, Charlie. Thank you. All right, y'all. That was awesome. Another great guest. Don't forget, right after this show, you can join the After Hours crew, and they're going to take you on an incredible, mysterious journey for the next 3 hours. Next Saturday on Off the Trails, my guest is researcher and author John Vandeventer, and we'll be talking about Sasquatch and other high strangeness in Oklahoma. I can't wait to see y'all there. But for now, I'm the cryptid huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm headed off the trail, and I will see you guys next Saturday. Y'all have a good night. Bye.